Hi and welcome to our lesson on converting decimals to fractions. We will be looking at converting decimals that are less than 1 into fractions. To do this, we will be looking at the place value of the digits involved. We will begin by looking at the place value columns. The place value columns for decimals that we can see here are tenths, hundredths and thousandths. When we hear tenths, hundredths and thousandths, we think of fractions, and that is exactly what they represent. Tenths represent a fraction out of 10, hundredths represent a fraction out of 100, and thousandths represent a fraction out of 1,000. It is the numbers that we put in these columns that tell us the value of the fraction. For example, 0.9. The 9 is in the tenths column. This tells us that we have 9 tenths. You can probably hear that this sounds like a fraction, and it is. 9 tenths can be written like this. Here's another example. 0.93. 0.93 finishes in the hundredths column. This means that 0.93 is a fraction out of 100. Now, starting from the decimal point, we can just read off the number, and we have 93. So our fraction is 93 hundredths. Here we have 0.239. 0.239 finishes in the thousandths column. So our denominator will be 1,000. Now from the decimal point, we can read across, and we have 239. So our fraction is 239 thousandths. 0.3 finishes in the tenths column, so our denominator is 10. If we read across from the decimal point, we have 3. So our fraction is 3 tenths. 0.043 finishes in the thousandths column. So our denominator is 1,000. Again, we just read across from the decimal point, and we have 43. So the fraction is 43 thousandths. 0.007 finishes in the thousandths column. This means that the denominator will be 1,000. If we read across from the decimal point, we can see that we have 7. So we have 7 thousandths. 0.101 finishes in the thousandths column. So the denominator will be 1,000. Reading across, we have the number 101. So our fraction is 101 thousandths. And finally, 0.04 finishes in the hundredths column. So the denominator will be 100. Reading across from the decimal point, we have 4. So our fraction is 4 hundredths. To take this one step further, 4 hundredths can be simplified to 1 over 25 by dividing both numerator and denominator by 4. Here are some questions for you to try. Please pause the video now and have a go. Question 1. 0.15 finishes in the hundredths column, so that the denominator is 100. Reading across from the decimal point, we have 15. 15 is our numerator. Our answer is 15 hundredths. To take it one step further, 15 over 100 can be simplified to 3 over 20 by dividing both the numerator and denominator by 5. Question 2. 0.266 finishes in the thousandths column, so the denominator will be 1,000. Reading across from the decimal point, we have 266, so 266 thousandths. To take it a step further, we can simplify this fraction to 133 over 500 by halving both the numerator and the denominator. Question 3. 0.507 finishes in the thousandths column, so the denominator is 1,000. Reading across from the decimal point, we have 507. So we have 507 thousandths. Question 4. 0.03 finishes in the hundredths column, so the denominator is 100. Reading across from the decimal point, we have 3. So we have 3 hundredths. Thank you for watching. If you would like further practice, please have a go at the question sheets we have provided.